Braintree. My name is Bob Folks, and I am on Congressman Lynch's staff. I've been on a long time, God willing, a lot more. But part of my responsibilities is to coordinate the Service Academy nominations and appointments. So it's great that you're all here. The agenda is tight. We'll keep it to that, to the way we laid it out, and we'll be in good shape. We'll hold questions till the end. If you need to use the bathroom, you just go out the main door. It's right on your left before you get out. So feel free to do that. There's water out there as well if you need a drink. And we'll get going. Congressman just got home from Washington last night. You may be following the news. They've been a little bit busy down there. And I was delighted that they took the vote and he was able to come, because I know he serves on 3 committees in Washington: Financial Services, Transportation, and Oversight, Government Reform. Three pretty busy committees. So I was hopeful that he would get home for this. I know it's one of his favorite parts of his job is to work with all the young folks and parents, nominating them to the academies. It's a great process. It's a great opportunity, as you'll hear. But the Congressman has to leave after his remarks. You can imagine he's got a busy day, but he never misses. So have a nice round of applause for our Congressman, Stephen Lynch.
Thank you, Bob. Good morning, everyone. Great to be here. I think last year we did this virtually because of the pandemic, so it's great to be here in person with all these smiling faces. I want to thank, first of all, Chuck Kokoros, the mayor of Braintree, who has allowed us to use this wonderful space. And also, I want to thank Jim Cooney, who works here at Braintree Town Hall and handles the setup for this. So thank you, Jim, for your kindness and attention. We really appreciate it. We're doing something different this morning. So Bill Needham is here from BCAM TV, Braintree Cable, recording the event, and we're thankful. I guess it'll play for the next few weeks, so those of you who have that access. And I think we have Senator Timothy with us this morning. He's probably running a little, there he is in the back, very good. Walter Timothy, local state senator from Milton, and glad to have you, Walter. We're grateful also to the representatives from the academies. We have a full contingent here this morning, and they will help you understand the process. There's variance between the academies, so they will obviously highlight the intricacies of the whole process. And the success of this event really is in the hands of our Academy representatives. They really make this all work, together with Bob Folks, to make sure that we have the highest success rate of candidates that apply. I also want to welcome all the potential candidates and parents and families. Thank you for your interest in the United States Service Academies. Each year, the service allows us to have one of the cadets or midshipmen attend this event to share their experience and advice. Oftentimes, we find it really most helpful to have someone who is actually sat in the seat that you're sitting in now and having this experience come back from the academies and speak about their experience and the complications in the process. And from young person to young person, it's a nice thing to see. It's a mentorship of sorts. So this morning I want to thank Cadet Emmanuel Wrinkle Garcia, United States Military Academy class of 2024, for joining us this morning to offer his insights into the application process and to share his experiences at West Point. So we're very thankful for him. Manny's from Walpole. He attended Xaverian Brothers High School. We have a lot of folks from Xaverian that come through this process, and I was pleased to nominate him to West Point back in 2019. Emmanuel's parents, Ileana and Steve, are here as well. I want to welcome you both back as well. Thank you. I'm hopeful that Manny enjoyed at least a weekend with his parents and got to sleep in his own bed and got some home cooking. But again, welcome. So many of you here today are facing important choices, difficult choices in some cases, in trying to decide what your future holds. As you progress through your high school years advice seems to come from all directions. And it's not just high school, right? I think Bob, our youngest attendee was 8th grade. So we had a young man call our office and said, "I heard you have Academy Day. I'm only in the 8th grade, but I'd like to come by." So he did. We expect to see him again a little bit more towards his senior year. But anyway, it's clear from your attendance here today, you've narrowed your choices down to a workable few, and hopefully the information that you'll receive today perhaps will lead you to a career in the military, but perhaps not. And education and training at the academies is not for everyone. It takes a certain temperament, I think. As you will hear, the service academies provide probably the most vigorous academic, physical, and moral challenge that we have in the United States in our educational systems. Throughout our history, the academies have shaped and graduated leaders who have played an important role in guiding our nation's future. And I think it's accepted that the cadets and midshipmen and attendees at these academies are truly among the very best that the United States has to offer. So the men and women who will speak to you today will provide an overview of each academy and answer any questions you may have. The decisions to attend a service academy is in the final analysis personal decision. However, these decisions affect the entire family, so I'm very, very happy to see so many parents here as well. During my 35 or so trips to Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and other places in the Middle East, I know that when one family member serves, the whole family serves. There's a collective sacrifice there. The decisions that you make today will have lifelong ramifications, and it should not be taken lightly. The opportunities are tremendous, but there is also risk, and that risk should not be underestimated. If successful, you'll have an obligation to serve in the military for at least 5 years after you graduate, and deployment to an active theater is a strong likelihood. This is serious business. I'm happy that many parents, again, are here today. You are an important part of this decision. All of us, I think, have an innate desire to live your life in a meaningful cause, right? We strive to make a difference, to make an impact on the way we protect and positively affect the lives of the people that we love and care about. And you definitely have an opportunity to do just that here today. Should you be among those very few who will attend an academy, yours will be the greatest responsibility, which is to serve and protect the United States of America. It'll be up to you to safeguard all that America holds dear, to live up to the example set by men and women who preceded you at the academies, as an example of courage, honor, duty, and commitment. I also want to congratulate all the parents here today. You've worked long and hard, I'm certain, to ensure that your sons and daughters grow into productive adults. It would seem by their presence today that they are well on their way. This process is different, though. This is different than the standard application process at a civilian college, and it can be a little bit confusing. So while I spend most of my time in Washington lately, 4 or 5 days a week down there, I've asked Bob Folks to help coordinate this Academy Day. He's been at it for a while. He knows the process, and he will definitely help you with any difficulties you may encounter throughout the process. So if you have any questions, the daily contact on this is really Bob Folks. And Bob has been with me for a while. He is a treasure. He is a blessing in my life. He handles a lot of responsibility. He's a true Renaissance man, as you will find through this process. He's an athlete, played hockey at Harvard. He knows that world. He's an accomplished musician, a sailor, a teacher, an administrator, and he has that quality of mentorship that so many great teachers have. So he's been able to guide people, and not only that, he's got good, strong relationships with the academies, as you can see from the presence here, but also he's gone out to the Air Force Academy at Colorado Springs. He's gone out to West Point a number of times. Annapolis. He sailed with, was that the Coast Guard? Around the, what was that? Mass Maritime, around the Statue of Liberty, just to experience what those students will experience himself, so he can be a better judge of what you might encounter. This process of Academy nominations is one of the most enjoyable and most rewarding parts of my job as the Congressman from the 8th Congressional District. I have 21 towns and 3 cities, but this process really offers some insight into the future of our nation. 2 weeks ago, I gave a speech before the Chinese-American World War II veterans, and one of my co-speakers on the dais was Jennifer Ng. Jennifer Ng was one of Bob's first selections, all of about 5'0", and but she knew what she wanted. She wanted to attend the Air Force Academy at Colorado Springs, and Bob saw something in her, and she was introduced as Lieutenant Colonel Jennifer Ng. So I was enormously proud of her, but also proud of the fact that Bob and I were able to have a little bit to do with her success. I mean, she did all the work, but you know, happy to be part of that. I'm often amazed at the quality and character, the academic excellence, and the athletic ability of our young people in the 8th Congressional District. And I look forward to working with you through this process. And you have my sincere best wishes as you move forward in your lives. Again, thank you for your willingness to consider this decision, to consider serving your country. That's profound. I was at the VA hospital yesterday in West Roxbury, visiting some of our veterans. My brother-in-law, Kevin, just had a knee replacement, so I was over there visiting him. And I got to spend a time with a lot of World War II veterans, Korean War veterans, a couple of Vietnam veterans, and my gratefulness is throughout the process, from people like Manny Wrinkle Garcia to those veterans who served us so many years ago courageously. Just so thankful that we have people in this country who are willing to step up and take on this responsibility. So God bless you all. May God bless you in this process, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you for your kind words. That was unexpected, but maybe I can negotiate a bigger salary. Anyway, and thank you, Senator Timilty, for attending as well. You'll get a lot of information today. I'll hold my comments until the end. You'll hear several recurring themes of what a successful candidate will bring to the table, but there will be subtle differences in between the academies. So listen carefully, depending upon the academy or academies that you have an interest in. Our next presenter is speaking on behalf of the United States Naval Academy, Jim McVarish. Jim's daughter, Kate, is a graduate of the Naval Academy. 15, was that, Jim? 15. Class of 2015. She's a wonderful young woman. And several years ago, I introduced Jim as a former Marine. And I was gently reminded that there is no such thing as a former Marine, only a retired Marine. So let's have a nice hand for Jim McVarish.
Thank you, Bob, and good morning, everybody. It is so much nicer to see your smiling faces this year compared to last year when we had to do this over Zoom. I'm a school teacher, and I have had to teach 0 Zoom classes this year, and I am so much happier. And I think the kids are, too. As Bob said, my name is Jim McVarish. I am a retired Marine Corps colonel, and I am a Naval Academy representative, admissions representative, or blue and gold officer in this area. I did not attend the Academy myself. I came in through the Officer Candidate School program, but 25% of Naval Academy graduates do choose to commission as second lieutenants in the Marine Corps. My daughter is a 2015 graduate of Navy, and she chose to commission in the Marine Corps, and she is currently a Marine Corps captain stationed at Marine Corps Base, Quantico, Virginia. So each applicant to the Naval Academy is assigned to a blue and gold officer like myself. There's another one here today, Mr. Pete McLaughlin. He covers North Quincy area. And the BGO's job is to help shepherd the applicant through the application and nomination process. The reason I volunteer as a blue and gold officer is because my daughter had such a very rewarding and positive experience as a midshipman. So the Naval Academy is a great place, and the opportunities and rewards that come with the Naval Academy education are phenomenal. And here are just a few of the reasons why. Number one, the Academy hires 100% of its graduates, so you got solid job prospects. The Naval Academy, like all the other institutions up here, consistently ranks at or near the top of almost every college ranking service. Naval Academy graduates have a wide variety of options in terms of a military career, including naval aviation, surface warfare and submarines, Marine Corps aviation and ground forces, and the Navy and Marine Corps Special Forces, including the Navy SEALs, Explosive Ordnance Disposal, and the Marine Corps Reconnaissance Forces. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly for the parents, Annapolis, Maryland is a very fun place to visit. It's a lot like Newport, Rhode Island. As a matter of fact, the architect who designed a lot of the buildings in Annapolis also designed a lot of the mansions in Newport, so they look very similar. It's just bigger and better, in my own personal opinion. And we love visiting there because it's very dog-friendly. We have a black lab, and we can bring her just about every place with us. So these are all good things, and you may be sitting there thinking, okay, how do I get rolling with this whole process? And how do I make myself competitive? So here are some tips. If you are a senior in high school, or if you are currently in college, the best time to get your application submitted was yesterday. If you are a high school junior or younger, do well in school in the very toughest courses that you can handle, play sports and try to ascend to leadership positions in those sports, and participate in activities that inspire you. And again, try to ascend to leadership positions. You may also want to check out the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, or STEM camps that are offered at the Naval Academy each summer for the rising 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. I believe they were virtual this past summer, but hopefully they'll be live next summer. Applications open in January, and more information is available on the USNA website. Finally, if you are not physically fit, get physically fit. You need to be able to run long distances, carry heavy things, and do plenty of push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. Admission to any one of these academies, as I'm sure you know, is extremely competitive. If you look at the lists of colleges with the lowest acceptance rates that are published each year and online, the service academies are listed with Stanford, MIT, Duke, and the Ivy League schools as the toughest to get into. This can be discouraging, but I'm here to tell you that this can also be misleading. To apply to Harvard, you have to fill out an application, send them a check, maybe have an interview, and then sit back and wait. If you're wicked smart, you might get in. To apply to the service academies, you have to fill out an application and pass a medical exam and pass a physical fitness test and be nominated by a member of Congress and complete 2 or 3 interviews. A lot of applicants don't complete their applications because they're not able to get all this done by the January 31st deadline. It's hard to get into the service academies, partly because it's hard to apply to the service academies. But if you're smart, healthy, fit, tough, well-organized, and determined, your chances are far better than the 6 or 8 or 10% that is listed in U.S. News and World Report every year. If your ultimate desire is to serve your country as a commissioned officer, there are many other ways to get there without having to attend a service academy. Each of the services, with the exception of the Merchant Marines, as far as I know, offers ROTC and Officer Candidate School programs, and they are excellent. Most of the officers in our military are brought in through ROTC and OCS, and in fact, the last 6 commandants of the Marine Corps are products of ROTC or OCS. One last piece of information, and then I will have a seat. The Naval Academy runs a summer leadership program every June. There are 3 one-week sessions, and they're open to students finishing their junior year in high school. This is an opportunity to go to Annapolis and try on the Naval Academy for a week to see if it's really for you. Be advised, though, that should you be fortunate to selected and attend this very competitive program, the Academy will also be evaluating you while you are there. The application for the summer seminar program is usually available online on February 1st, and you can find out more information at the Academy's website. My daughter attended that program, and she was totally on the fence whether or not the Naval Academy was going to be something she was interested in. And it really made the difference, all the difference in the world. It was virtual this summer. Once again, I'm pretty sure it's all intentions to have that program live coming up next year. Okay, that's it for me. Go Navy. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We'll speak more about the qualifications, what we look for at the end as well. Our next presenter is representing the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. Al is a graduate of West Point and has been helping us out since day one with this event. I don't know how many years it's been. I think it's close to 15. But a good few. So let's have a nice hand for Al Barisi. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. First, I'd like to thank Congressman Lynch and Bob Folks for allowing me to share in this special event again. As Bob mentioned, I've been a part of this since day one. I'm also a Braintree High School graduate, so this is my hometown. To host it here is very, very special to me, particularly in light of Sylvanus Thayer being considered the father of West Point, is from Braintree, grew up here. Thayer Academy, Thayer Public Library are all in testament to him. As Bob alluded to, I'm a 1979 graduate of the U.S. Military Academy, and except for my time on active duty, I've lived here in Braintree. I also had the honor and pleasure of serving on the faculty at the Military Academy. In addition to teaching military science, I was also the course director for public speaking. And with deepest sympathies to Bob Folks, because he's heard this several times, I was considered the Academy's worst nightmare. I was an Italian from Boston, and my job was teach cadets how to talk. Currently, I'm the liaison officer for the Military Academy for the 8th Congressional District. Mission of West Point is to educate and train and inspire the Corps of Cadets so that each graduate is commissioned leader of character, committed to the values of duty, honor, country, and prepared for a career of professional excellence and service to the nation as an officer in the United States Army. Now, as I was rehearsing my notes and preparing my comments today, I've given these several times, and so I'm going to deviate today. And I can almost sense Bob cringing, like, okay, where is this guy going now? I'm going to challenge you right now. I could stand here and tell you all the facts and figures about West Point, about the 37 different academic majors, about the fact that more presidents of the United States have come from West Point than any other college or university, about how it's the premier leadership institution in the world. But I'm challenging you, if you're the type of young women and young men that are interested in any of these service academies, you can find that information on your own. You can go to the websites and you can find all of that data. It's public knowledge. What I'd like to talk to you about today is what you can't find from the website. If you're the type of young man or young woman that likes to challenge yourself beyond what you think was possible, then the service academies are for you. If you like to challenge yourself academically, take the toughest, most rigorous courses you can take, spend countless hours studying, be disappointed when you don't get the grade you want and work that much harder to get a better grade the next time, then maybe the service academies are for you. If you're the type of young man or young woman that likes to challenge yourself physically, and Jim already alluded to this, if you're not in shape, you better be in shape. I guarantee you, you're going to have a love-hate relationship with running. If you don't like to run, you're going to learn to run. If you like to run, you're going to have all the opportunity in the world to run. But you're going to challenge yourself with things, watch Manny's expression when I say these words, like the indoor obstacle course. Is he cringing? Taking PE courses that you could only dream of. Taking things like scuba, competitive swimming and diving. Anything you could possibly think of. If you like challenging yourself physically beyond what you thought was possible, then maybe the service academies are for you. If you like challenging yourself as a leader, being in charge, and when I say being in charge, that doesn't mean bossing people around. That means being a selfless servant, caring more about the people around you than yourself, empowering the people around you to be successful, to watch them develop, watch them grow, watch them accomplish a collective mission, to work on a challenge, and if you're successful, share the credit with the people that worked for you. Don't take the credit yourself, you give it to them. And if you're not successful, you take the heat. You shield your people. You protect them and give them the opportunity to do better next time. I'm a consultant by trade. And one of the things I tell my clients, one of the things as I establish leadership development programs for my clients is a saying, a meme that I love. I never lose. I either win or I learn. And if you take that attitude and challenge yourself to be the greatest leader you can, the selfless leader that you should be, the type of leader, people say the definition of character is doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. A selfless leader is the type of person that treats everyone with respect, especially those that can't help you or can't hurt you. That's the definition of a leader. And if that's what you want to be, then maybe the service academies are for you. And if you want to establish relationships, the strongest relationships you will ever experience, and I challenge anybody on this panel to prove me wrong, relationships with people that you trust with your life, that I am as close with, if not closer, than my own brothers. 40 years later, I talk to them on a daily basis. I was talking to Manny earlier today about the shared misery of service. Well, if you enjoy those kind of relationships, based on character, based on trust, based on accountability, then maybe the service academies are for you. Now, West Point's a little bit different than the other service academies. You get commissioned as an officer in the United States Army. You can pick a number of different branches. You will have the opportunity to serve around the world. You will have an opportunity to go to graduate school. But all of those pieces of information you can find online. What I tried to convey to you is what you can't find online, what I experienced and am continuing to experience today. In the business world, to know that I can trust my colleagues, regardless of what uniform we wore, that they are people of character, people of commitment, and people of service. If that's who you want to be, then maybe the service academies are for you. If you're a junior, I agree with Jim. Apply to the summer leadership seminars. It's a great expectation, a great opportunity for you to see what the academies are like and make the determination, is this for me? If you're a senior, again, your application should have been done already, but if it isn't, get it done. And be aware of this. The deadline for the nominations for your senators or congresspersons is, or could be, different than the deadline for the application for the U.S. Military Academy. Make sure you know what the deadlines are. It'll be terribly disappointing to think you made the deadline and then realized that the deadline for Congressman Lynch's nomination was different than the Service Academy. Know the deadlines. And I'm sure Bob will talk about this later. If you do not get in this time, don't let that dissuade you. Take a year at college. Do the best you can academically. Do something that has some kind of leadership component and stay in shape. Apply a second time. Bob and I know an individual that applied to the Service Academies and got turned down twice. He did not get accepted till his third time. Now, he got academic credit for the time he did in college, but he had to start as a plebe. You don't come in as a junior or a sophomore. But by the time he was a junior, he had so much of his academic requirements completed, he was taking graduate courses at the University of Maryland. He was doing a fellowship at the Pentagon. In actuality, it helped him because he started later than his contemporaries, and he is a tremendous success right now. So again, I want to thank Congressman Lynch and Bob Folks. I can say in all sincerity, Bob has become a close and trusted friend. He has helped me personally. He's probably a better expert on any of these service academies than anybody up here. He should have been a cadet. But I thank you for listening. I thank you for your time. Welcome any questions. Bob, thank you very much.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate your kind words. I will speak more about the process if you don't get in the first time later on. Very interesting. Our next presenter is representing the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. It's a small world. Emily's dad. I grew up in South Boston, thank God. And Emily's dad was one of the big kids. I don't know if you guys are city folks, and we were like the little kids. And they used to give us a little roughhousing once in a while, but we became close friends as we went by. It's such a small world. When we discovered Emily was at the Coast Guard Academy, we're delighted to have her here today.
Good morning, everyone. It's really just fabulous to get to be here today. I feel very blessed. I'm a native of Scituate, Massachusetts, so not too far from where a lot of you are. I know that my high school played a lot of the high schools that you played in all of our sports and things of that nature, and I had friends across the state. So it's wonderful getting to be here today to speak to the Coast Guard Academy and the Coast Guard as a whole, which is something that I'm extremely passionate about, seeing that I get to put on the uniform every day. My name is Lieutenant Junior Grade Emily Torsney. I'm the Northeast Admissions Officer at the Coast Guard Academy, which means I am your primary resource through everything Coast Guard, Academy, and application process. If you want to know something, I'm here, and I can get you to any path that you want to be based off of my knowledge. And if I don't know something, I know someone who does. I myself am not an Academy graduate. A little bit of background, I attended the University of Vermont and graduated in 2018 with my Bachelor of Science in Neuroscience. I went ahead and found officer candidate school. I grew up in a coastal area, and I grew up with cutters and helos and different things flying around and zipping by, and I wanted to do something a little bit bigger than what, I was on the path of doing currently upon graduation, and I found my way to the Coast Guard as a result. The Academy commissions 50% of the officer corps for the Coast Guard. Officer Candidate School and a number of our other commissioning programs, as mentioned earlier, make up the remainder of that, OCS being the second largest. Unique to the Coast Guard is that all Coast Guard officers commission from our campus, from the Academy campus. So I slept in Chase Hall, I was sweating in the same cadets, and I was wearing the blue. That being said, the Coast Guard Academy itself, it's located in New London, Connecticut, 103 acres in size. It's the smallest of the service academies, but that doesn't mean that we're not passionate and big with our heart. The Coast Guard as a whole is a smaller service, about 45,000 in size. Does anyone know the size of the NYPD? It's about 55,000, so we're even smaller than the NYPD. But once again, we have some heart and passion that keeps us going. I do want to speak to the Coast Guard specifically for a moment here, because there are some differences between the service that I serve in and the service that my counterparts here serve in or have served in. And that being that we're Department of Homeland Security, not Department of Defense, which means we focus on a humanitarian mission. We have 11 statutory missions, so it's everything from that classic search and rescue, drug and migrant interdiction that you know of. We do aids to navigation. It's actually what I did for my first tour. My first 2 years in the Coast Guard, I served on board a 225-foot buoy tender out of Newport, Rhode Island. So I will say I haven't been to Annapolis, Maryland, sir, but I am absolutely biased to Newport and would love to visit, knowing how beautiful it sounds, especially with it being so dog-friendly. But we supported the marine transportation system from Rhode Island up to the Canadian border. If you want to know how to ship handle, a buoy tender is fantastic because it can hold position, it can go forward and aft, and it can go side to side. So AIDS navigation is one of our many missions. ICE operations, marine and environmental protection, coastal security, protection of our waterways. You name it, the Coast Guard's probably there doing it. So small service, but doing a lot of different things. The Coast Guard Academy, a little under 1,100 students enrolled. We're about 40% female, 38% underrepresented minority. Only 9 academic majors to choose from. However, they're STEM specific, with the exception of our government and management major. You do receive a Bachelor of Science in all of your majors, regardless of what you opt to study. We have a number of varsity sports at the Division III NCAA level, with the exception of sailing, which is D1. We recently had a graduate go to the Olympics, Miss Nikki Barnes. She did pretty well. And so with that being said, though, what does the Coast Guard Academy look for in applicants? The mission of the Coast Guard Academy is to develop leaders of character who embody our core values of honor, respect, devotion to duty, and then graduate and commission and serve in the Coast Guard for a minimum of 5 years. Now, whether you opt to serve in any of these services for the minimum or the maximum, you are still serving and you're putting forth that effort in doing so. But there are some great perks in doing so. I will say that you have graduate school opportunities, you have opportunities at the academies themselves to excel and succeed. You're going to find that you operate at a level that is different from a lot of your counterparts, a lot of your friends in high school and further on in college right now. And I will tell you that you being here alone, you're great applicants. If you're showing up here, then you want to be doing something related to it. And I will say that you will succeed in what you want to do, regardless of the pathway that you take to do it or what the decision comes out to be, that first application cycle or even that second application cycle. So do note that. I also want to note my favorite statistic, which is 85% of cadets who graduate from the academy and serve their 5 years of required service time stay in past that 5 years, which is a huge testament to our service as a whole. So that being said, I'll go ahead and get off my soapbox here, but if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, whether it's the Academy, Officer Candidate School, our College Student Pre-Commissioning Initiative, any of the programs that the Coast Guard offers. I can help you learn a little bit more about it and get to where you need to be considering my pathway itself. I will put in a final plug. If you are a junior, the Academy Introduction Mission. You heard a lot about our leadership seminars that all of the service academies offer. The AIM program is just the same as those. What it is, we offer 3 weeks in July. You come from a Sunday to a Friday, and you learn and see what the Academy is up close and personal. You do apply to it. It's competitive to get into. Application opens in February, and it closes in April. And what it's going to do, it's going to offer you the opportunity to experience what that first year at the Academy, kind of the summer going in, that swab summer, the little boot campy portion of the Academy. It allows you to experience it, takes away some of that shock factor, and helps you figure out your why. If you really want Coast Guard, if you want other service academies, this helps you determine and lock it in. So I highly, highly recommend that you try it out for size because they are pretty fantastic. And if you walk away going, this isn't for me, that's okay, but it may give you that much more drive and it helps to prepare you because completing those applications is kind of like mini applications to the service academies. So it gets the ball rolling for you. Thank you so much for having me here today. I look forward to reaching out and connecting. I do have an event up in Portland, Maine next weekend for anyone who's interested in taking a weekend getaway up at Sector Northern New England, where you can see all of our assets up close and personal. You can learn all about it online on our website and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Just one more further point of clarification. You do not need a nomination to the Coast Guard Academy. That's a direct application, as well as with Mass Maritime. You would apply directly there. We would be happy to support your candidacy via a letter of recommendation after an interview or something like that. But to the Coast Guard Academy and to the Massachusetts Maritime Academy, it's a direct application. Where with the Naval Academy, West Point, Merchant Marine, and Air Force Academy, it involves the nomination process. Our next presenter is Eric Brenner. Eric has helped us out on several occasions in the past, who is a representative of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. Eric? Thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Almost missed. So, how many of you actually have heard of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York? Oh my God, I'm blown away. I had prepared that nobody would ever have heard of us, so I'm gratified. If you didn't get goosebumps from the other presentations, then you're at the wrong place. I did. So I want to thank Congressman Lynch and Bob and the town of Braintree for inviting us and hosting this event. The mission of the United States Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point. Well, first of all, I should introduce myself, sorry. My name is Eric Brenner. I'm a 1981 graduate of the United States Merchant Marine Academy. I was a nautical science major. Otherwise, in our lingo, I'm a decky. The mission of the United States Merchant Marine Academy is to educate and graduate leaders of exemplary character who are inspired to serve the national security, marine transportation, and economic needs of the United States as licensed merchant marine officers and commissioned officers in the armed forces. Wow, there's a lot in there. Probably the only school here where the mission will mention the economic needs of the nation. You all follow the news and you hear about the supply chain problems really affecting our country, not just so that you can sit home during the pandemic and click, to buy stuff on Amazon, but for foodstuffs, for our petroleum, for things that really are important, and not just, by the way, importing stuff into the country, but also, we sell stuff to other countries. We trade and we export, and with the ports tied up, it's becoming very difficult for our exporters to actually export material around the world. Kings Pointers serve in leadership positions in all sectors of the maritime and in the supply chain. They serve in working for shipping lines like myself, or working for in support aspects, whether they're lawyers or marine surveyors, or working in the insurance field, or all different aspects of the maritime and the supply chain. Some of them are working for freight forwarders and so forth. The Academy is broken up into a trimester setup, and you can major in anything you want if you come to Kings Point, as long as it falls into the following two segments. First is nautical science or marine transportation, which is what I majored in, and you can now concentrate in maritime logistics and security, or you can focus on maritime business. If you're an engineer, you can focus on design and systems. You can focus on shipyard management, or you can just focus on regular shipboard operations. Two of the majors will lead to a professional engineering certificate. As part of the trimester setup and as part of the academy education, you spend about a year at sea as a cadet, learning on board a vessel, learning from licensed and unlicensed personnel. So back in the day, my first sea year, I was on an old-fashioned break bulk vessel that went through the Panama Canal down to the west coast of South America, down to Chile. My second sea year, my second vessel, I made the run to North Europe on a container vessel. It was a modern container vessel. The third vessel was a vessel that went through the Mediterranean. I hit all the Greece, Turkey, Italy, many ports in Italy, and so forth, and came back. I got, of course, in a storm. The second sea year, I flew to Singapore, and I served on an oil tanker. I was all over the Pacific. I was in Kwajalein Atoll, I was in Okinawa and Guam and Philippines and Singapore, etc. and then made our way through the Suez Canal. So I got to go through both canals on the ship. Suez Canal, Mediterranean, hit a couple ports in the Med, and then came back to Norfolk. So not every seer is the same. You know, the experiences that the cadets will have while on board the vessel is different. You have a sea project as part of your education while you're at sea. Seer, I think, for every student is something that you'll just never forget. It changes you. You come back, you're more mature, you're worldly, and it was really something that was great. So you come back, you finish your senior year, you sit for your Coast Guard exam. It's a very, very intense, it's like a final exam for your 4 years of your education. So on the nautical science side, I took navigation problems and seamanship and safety and all kinds of stuff that relate to becoming rules of the road is the big one. And some of the sections you have to have a 90 to pass. So when you graduate from the United States Merchant Marine Academy, you graduate with a degree in your bachelor science degree. You're licensed as a third assistant engineer or a third mate, depending on which exam you took, and you're commissioned in the Naval Reserve. About 30% of the graduating class now goes active duty. In my time, it was less. But we have graduates that go into the Navy, that go into the Marines, and so forth, Coast Guard as well. So kind of in line with what Al was talking about, what does it mean to be a Kings Pointer? I mean, that's all this stuff that you can get online. It's a very difficult, the classwork is very rigorous. You definitely will be challenged. You are going through a military life, your friends are all at college and they're all, they're having fun and you're really not having that much fun. But Kings Point is I would say, recognized as one of the preeminent maritime schools in the world. Not just here, but around the world. And if you tell people that you're a Kings Pointer, you graduated from the Merchant Marine Academy, people look at you, they respect you, and it brings, they understand what that means. They know what they have an idea of what you've gone through. The camaraderie with your classmates, my wife and I were kind of disagreeing about it, but the fraternity among the classmates. I still talk to my classmates from Kings Point. It opens doors, it brings opportunity. Again, it's not for everybody. You have to love ships, you have to love shipping, you have to love the sea. We have guys that go into other aspects, into other careers. But I couldn't more highly recommend a school. It's what it's done for me, for my life. I work for one of the largest container lines in the world. It's called Hapag-Lloyd, and I'm in sales for Hapag-Lloyd. Before I close, we have family, the Shearers, that have two of their children are Kings Point midshipmen right now, including Daniel, who is a little shy, but anyway, really excited to have them here. And as a parent of two daughters and as somebody who's paid for private education for my daughters to go through college, I say, wow, I really am, you guys are lucky to have sons that went into Kings Point. It's really great. And the opportunities that you guys are going to have are going to be, fantastic. So I'm here to answer questions. The Shearers are here as well, and Daniel. So welcome anybody that wants the information. Just let us know. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you. Congressman Lynch mentioned I had the opportunity to travel on the T.S. Kennedy, the Mass Maritime ship, a couple of years ago for about a 4-day cruise with the freshmen. And it was just a wonderful opportunity to really see what it was, the freshman orientation cruise. And one of the young men got seasick walking up the gangway onto the ship before it left the dock. So he had a long 4 days. But it was great to see the training that they undergo. They literally run the ship for the entire 4 days. We went under the Verrazano Bridge past the Statue of Liberty, and the hair on my arms was standing up. It was so humbling to look up there and think of how many millions and millions of people have come through there with nothing. And here I was. It was an amazing experience. And then went back up through Long Island and back to Buzzards Bay, the Academy. It was a great trip, and I'll never forget it. And Al Seitz is joining us today from the Massachusetts Maritime Academy for the first time. Al is the acting director of admissions, so he's the man.
Good morning, everyone. I am truly humbled to be here with all of my colleagues from the National Academies, and I want to thank everyone for their service as we come upon Veterans Day this coming week, and everyone that may have served here in the audience as well. I'm very honored to be here because Mass Maritime Academy is a very unique institution. I would consider us a hybrid institution. We are one of the 6 state maritime academies in the United States. However, we are the only state maritime academy in the United States that is fully regimented. So very similar to my colleagues here, our students have an opportunity to develop their leadership skills throughout their 4 years, regardless of their majors. If a student here in the audience decides to attend another state maritime academy, where there's one in New York, Maine, Great Lakes, Texas, and California, the only students that would have the opportunity to go through the regiment experience are those that are pursuing their maritime license in either transportation or engineering. But at Mass Maritime Academy, all of our students are in the Cadet Corps. They all experience the opportunity to become leaders and true professionals in their career paths. And unlike my friend who just spoke, not all of the majors at Mass Maritime are related to the sea. A lot of people think that Maritime only offers jobs on sea, and our gentleman just spoke is a testament to that. Is not the case. We have 7 unique majors: engineering and transportation, of course, international maritime business, but we also have a very new major relatively in the past few years, energy systems engineering. And we are well aware here in the Northeast of the wind turbines and solar and the green initiatives that the Congressman and all of our friends in Washington are working on to help us transition in the future generations of how we generate electricity and power. Well, at Mass Maritime, it's a major. We are one of the leaders here in the Northeast for training for green energy, and wind farms are going to be a huge phenomenon for opportunities in the coming years, not only here on the East Coast, but around the world. We also have facilities engineering, we have emergency management, and we also have marine science as well. Unlike the National Academies, myself and our friends at the Coast Guard Academy, you would apply just like you would any other college or university. You can apply on the Common App, or you can apply with our own application. We are looking for the same characteristics: strong academic aptitude. You'll be taking STEM-heavy courses throughout your education. We're looking for leadership opportunities. Our early action deadline is actually coming up on November 15th, so if you're a senior, you still have time to get that application in. I will get a letter in your mailbox before Christmas if you're in good shape academically. If not, we have rolling admissions, and our preferred deadline is February 15th. You have the same college experience as anyone else, and just like our colleagues here, you're going to be going through regiment. You're going to be getting up early. There's going to be roll call. There's going to be physical fitness. There's going to be room inspections. There's going to be respect, honor, dignity, time management skills, critical thinking. And most importantly, when you graduate, just like all of our friends here, you will have the opportunity to have a wonderful career. Now, what sets us apart from our friends here in the federal academies is you're not required to join the military. However, 15% of our cadets do. You can go into the Coast Guard through the MARGRAD program. You can go into the Navy through the the Seamanship program. You can go to ROTC. That is your choice. 85% of our cadets go on and work in the real world, but they have the upper hand against their peer group when they graduate because they have the regimental leadership experience, which is actually a minor, an unofficial minor that you would acquire while you're at Mass Maritime, and you have the skills that employers are looking for. So I think Mass Maritime Academy, and I was talking to the Congressman earlier, is kind of like the best kept secret in Massachusetts. It is a phenomenal institution. I get goosebumps myself every time I talk to the cadets and their experiences and where they're going. So if by chance one of the federal academies may not be the best fit for you, Mass Maritime, right on Buzzards Bay, right before you go over the Bourne Bridge. If you go over the Bourne Bridge, you went too far. We're super excited for the support that Washington has given us. We're actually getting a $300 million brand new training vessel in 2024. We're also getting a brand new $30 million renewable energy engineering building that's going to be built. And right now, as we speak, up in Boothbay, Maine, our 1894 100-foot schooner is getting completely refurbished and will be delivered to campus in the spring. So with that said, if you have any questions about Mass Maritime Academy, we love to have you. I wish all of you the best success in your future endeavors. Regardless, wherever you land, always look forward, don't look back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Al. Our next presenter is a recent graduate of the United States Air Force Academy, just graduated in May, and she's serving as in the admissions office at the Academy, and should have some interesting insights. So let's have a nice hand for Second Lieutenant Kiana Brantley.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Second Lieutenant Kiana Brantley, and I did just graduate from the Academy in May of 2021. So I'm a brand new lieutenant. I'm out here, and I'm really excited. Thank you. I would like to say thank you to Congressman Lynch and Bob for letting me speak here, and all of the presenters today did an amazing job. Having graduated from a service academy and being really recently removed from it, I can tell you it's a very rewarding experience. And it's something that I'm really thankful that I had, because it's very different than any other college experience that you're going to have, right? You're in college and you can do like sororities and you're taking your classes and you're doing all of these wonderful things. I was jumping out of planes in college. You know, I have my wings here to prove it. And the Air Force Academy is the only place in the entire world where your first jump out of a plane is by yourself. I got to do that. When I was at the Air Force Academy, I was flying in gliders in like a morning class, right? So like, before calculus, I have to go fly in this glider, and like my mom hated it because I was in a plane with no engine doing like circles and flips, but that was my college experience, and it's incredible. The service piece is a big deal to me, so I had a different route of going to the Air Force Academy. I'll give my quick intro really quick. I'm from Colorado Springs, Colorado, so I got to be home while I was at the Air Force Academy. I enlisted prior to actually attending the Air Force Academy. So when I was 18, I knew I wanted to go to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was in high school senior year, so I just decided to like enlist. You know, I was like, why not? I did that. After being enlisted for a couple of years, I got an email about the Air Force Academy, and I decided to throw my hat in the bucket, and I ended up getting accepted, and it's been a wild adventure ever since. So, great experience. I'm a little older, but yeah. So the Air Force Academy, right? We're located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The campus is at about 7,000 feet above sea level, so we like to say the air is rare at the Air Force Academy. Beautiful location. While at a service academy like the Air Force Academy, we have three major tenets that you focus on while you're a cadet going through. So they're the academics. You have over 27 academic majors that you can study, up to your choice, very STEM heavy. But like while I was at the Air Force Academy, I studied behavioral science. We're ranked number 3 as far as public colleges go, but we're number 5 in different engineering programs, and we're the number 28 liberal arts college. So you have lots of choices in that direction. We offer some minors as well. Athletically, we offer 27 NCAA D1 division sports. We have I'm sorry guys. We have club sports, also incredibly competitive. So for the last 3 years, our women's rugby team have been national champions. And then we have the intramural sports, which is something I competed in. And it's just you and your squadron mates are going out and competing against other squadrons, because competition is a beautiful thing. And then the final piece, and in my opinion, the most important, you have your military aspect of the Air Force Academy. So while you're at the Academy, you start off your freshman year going to basic training for 6.5 weeks. Once you complete basic training, you'll have about a week between the end of basic and your first day of class in the cadet wing. While you're at the Air Force Academy for your 4 years, you're marching to lunch every day unless the weather gets really bad. So those are get extra time in those days. But then you're also doing room inspections, you're doing Saturday morning inspections twice a semester, you're having uniform inspections, you're attending leadership conferences, and you're just doing a lot of really great work on yourself and others. So while I was at the Air Force Academy, I learned that I have a very deep passion for leadership. I knew that I enjoyed leading beforehand, but while at the Air Force Academy, I learned what leadership meant, and I had the opportunity of doing some really amazing things. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going to stop. I think I mentioned all of the little things. If you have any questions, I know I've been communicating to a couple of you. I'm here this year to help students with their application. I'm here to talk to you through and mentor you through the application. So if you have any questions, use me. I'll give you my number and everything. So thank you.
That 7,000 feet is no joke. If anybody's been out there or up at that altitude, I've been out there several times. Congressman mentioned Jennifer Ng, and she was giving me a tour of the campus, and she could breathe, and I couldn't. It's no joke. You really drink a lot of water, and I thought I was just out of shape, but there was no oxygen. It was incredible. Anyway. And sort of the most important part, I believe, of this day is to hear from a cadet or a midshipman who is currently at one of the academies. Sometimes we get several cadets, but this year we were fortunate to get the manual. He was sitting out there 2 years ago. He was in your seat 2 years ago, and now he's at West Point doing well. So it'll be great to hear his comments on his expectations, what he thought was going to happen at West Point, what actually happened, what might be difficult, might be not so difficult. But it's great to have him here. Emmanuel Wrinkle Garcia.
So first off, just wanted to congratulate Air Force for coming in second place yesterday. Like they said, I'm Emmanuel Wrinkle Garcia. I was graduated to Varian Brothers High School in 2020 from Walpole, and I'm a mechanical engineering major in my second year at West Point right now. I was nominated by Congressman Lynch and Senator Warren in 2019. So if anyone has any questions about those interview processes, I can answer those later. So being in my second year, I can't give a whole holistic review, obviously, of West Point, but I think the first 2 years can be the hardest for a lot of people. It's a quick adjustment, especially if you're coming right out of high school. So first, you show up at West Point on reception day, starting cadet basic training. My initial expectations was going to be very physically challenging, and I thought it was going to suck for a bit, and I wasn't looking forward to having my hair shaved off. And so I showed up, and you go through our day, you get yelled at for a good day, and you show up to your room, and I look at my roommates, and we kind of, you show up to the room, you kind of stare at each other like, okay, what do we do now? And those same two guys are still my best friends today. I haven't, they come home with me every weekend. And so if there's one thing that I could say that I didn't expect was like the instant camaraderie with my classmates and my company mates. It's honestly like the best part of the academy experience, or the people you meet along the way. But relating to cadet basic training, I found it more mentally challenging, physically challenging. I think if you're at a base level of being in shape, I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about, struggling. But I think mentally it's hard. There's a lot of little things you have to worry about, and they intentionally create a stressful environment. And you're waking up early and you're doing things all day, and you kind of forget where you're at. You're focused on one thing. And so when you talk to people, you kind of forget when you talk to plebes that come right out of basic training this year, you kind of forget that mindset that you're in, like always busy, always focused. So it was a quick transition, but I found that by leaning on my roommates and my squad mates, it was really, it ended up being still enjoyable. It did still suck to have no hair, though. Some advice I have to go in, if you're set on going into basic training, you've accepted your nomination to the academy, you're going in. You should go in with an open mind. You can't go in expecting one thing and be upset when it doesn't happen. Or by going in with an open mind, you're really setting yourself up for success, not really closing yourself off to new things and new ideas. People do struggle in a lot of different aspects, whether it be homesickness, no sleep, or like the stressful environment. So I would encourage to lean on the people around you. Encourage your family to write you letters. Those really help when the going gets tough. And then I think it's important to be in shape because the more in shape you are, the less tired you're going to be. The less tired you are, the better your days are going to be. But after completing I guess for me, I only had 4 weeks, so I'm the weak class. Everyone else had 6. But going into the academic year, I really expected challenging academics with no free time, and I thought I was just going to be super bored sitting around not being able to leave as a plebe. But I'm glad that wasn't true. It's very challenging academically as a freshman. You walk in and they kind of throw all these gen ed classes at you, and everyone's taking the same thing. But because everyone's taking the same thing, you really get through it together. There's a lot you can do with your company mates and your friends to make things easier. And it's really emphasized is time management. You can't go through any academy, I think, without learning how to manage your time, because you're trying to really prioritize and emphasize your free time. And so if you're wasting your time on your homework and stuff, you're gonna be having a bad time. I know there's a lot of people, some friends that I knew, didn't know how to manage their time, and they're always up till 2 a.m, and it's not a good time. But I think what I expected as a plebe was to not be able to do anything, and I was kind of just sitting in my room. But as a freshman, you get really creative with your free time, and I think you find a lot of ways to have fun where you wouldn't normally expect it at a college. But some advice that I have going into an abnormal college experience, as some would define it, is to define your own normal. It made it a lot harder being there if I compared myself to my friends at civilian schools. Their normal is different than yours, and that's okay. Any service academy is not a normal college, and I think by going there, you signed up for that. But I wouldn't trade the past year and a half for anything in the world and the relationships that I've made. So applying, I wasn't really thinking about West Point since the 8th grade, they mentioned earlier. My junior year, I was kind of looking around at colleges, didn't really have a general idea of what I wanted to do yet. So I have a godfather who's class of 1995, and he said, he's been giving me the pitch since I was really young. I kind of always brushed him off. I was like, no, you're crazy. Why would I do that? So I said, okay, first, just come see the campus. So he convinced me to drive down and go, and we just walked around. I saw all the buildings. I played with rugby at Zavarian, so he went and showed me the rugby field, the rugby complex, and I said, okay, this is pretty cool. I guess I'll think about it. And he said, okay, just think about the summer leadership experience. Apply and go to that. And I was kind of begrudgingly, I was like, all right. So I went and did that. And I came out of that, and I was like, okay, that was pretty cool. I still don't know. I still don't know if I want to do it. And, at this point, I'm still applying. I'm still through the application process. And I got the opportunity to do an overnight visit. And I really was looking at this visit as the make or break. If I have a good time here on this visit, then I'm going to go. And if I don't, then I'm not. So I went, and I was supposed to be with the plebe, but my god sister, his daughter, came and said, no, you're going to stay with me. I'm going to show you what life is really like here. And I ended up having a great time. I sat in on all her classes. I talked to all her friends. We watched a parade, and I ended up having a great time. I didn't expect the classroom environment to be like it was. I still haven't been in a class over 20 people in my time in the academy, and the teachers were really hands-on and talkative, and I had fun in class more than I did in high school, at least visiting. So I decided, okay, I think I'm going to do this, and I don't regret it at all. Advice I would give is still keep an open mind through the application process, even if you're doubtful. If I had shut myself off immediately and said no, I wouldn't be standing here. I think it's important to keep an open mind and see it through if you've already started. But I would also encourage you to make sure this decision is your own decision. It's not something you should take lightly, taking the oath when you show up, because it's a lot easier to make the right decision beforehand than to realize you made the wrong one. And lastly, nomination interviews can be nerve-wracking, but I think the most important thing is how you present yourself. If you're well-dressed, well-spoken, there's going to be a lot more. They're going to be a lot more impressed than if you just look really good on paper, or you showed up with a wrinkled shirt and you couldn't hold a conversation. And so that's what I found. That's what I took away from my first year and a half, I guess, at the academy. And I would encourage you, if you end up going and you're still doubtful, a lot of people at West Point refer to summer training after their freshman year, cadet field training, as their most fun at the academy, which I'll agree. It's your first really where you're not getting yelled at the whole time, military training. And I had a blast this last summer. It was 4 weeks out at Camp Buckner at West Point, and I made friends that I still talk to today, and it was 4 weeks of my summer, but I don't think I would have wanted to spend it any other way. So I would just like to thank Congressman Lynch and his office for having me here today, and I'll be here after to answer any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I will just be brief. If you did not get a handout on the way in, you can certainly take one on the way out on the table. I will make a huge leap of faith and assume that you all can read, and I won't read this to you. You can do that at your leisure. When I go out to the academies, you're out there 3 or 4 days, and it's death by PowerPoint. They put the slides up, and then they read them to you, which is not the best use of time as I see it. So anyway, the first couple of pages, it's sort of an overview of the process. The third page, that's a snapshot of the U.S. Naval Academy class of 2024. These are just the freshmen or plebes that are there now, part of their freshman year. And this is instructive, if I could just draw your attention to the composition of the class on the right-hand side. You can see that 91% of them played varsity sports, 90% community service, and so on. So if you start to go down that list, and you can see, well, I do that, I do that, I do that, I do that, you start to make a case for your candidacy, because that's what these successful candidates have done. If you, on the other hand, go down that list and start to say, well, I don't do much of that, well, not really, well, sort of, then you need to get busy pretty quickly, otherwise you will not be successful. And then on the final page is the candidate fitness assessment that's been spoken about very briefly. You will need to be in shape, and that will help you get there. That is, you should not do that for the first time when you are being evaluated. You should practice it and practice it and practice it. So by the time you actually do it, you almost could fill in the paperwork before you do it. You'll know exactly what you can and cannot do. So read through that at your convenience. I also want to recognize Joseph Waite from our office, who was helping me out this year for the first time. He's been terrific. Some of you may have spoken to Joseph. We both have cards on the back table on the way out. Please feel free to take one. If you have any questions, feel free. The best way to get us is by email. Our email address is on there. So please feel free to do that. Just a few things. There are several nominating authorities that you are able to, by law, access for a nomination. Both senators and the member of Congress within whose district you reside. So if you live within the 8th district, then you need to apply through Congressman Lynch. If you live outside of the 8th district, the congressman cannot nominate you by law. You need to go through your member of Congress, but you still have access to both senators. I would exercise all the more authorities that you access, the better chance you have of getting in. In Emmanuel's case, he got 2 nominations. The only exception is the Merchant Marine Academy. We are able by law to nominate people from outside of our district. So if you have an interest in the Merchant Marine Academy and you don't live in Congressman Lynch's district, you can certainly still apply. There's really only 3 statutory requirements to be admitted into the academies. You need to be a U.S. citizen, either born or naturalized. You need to be between the ages of 17 and 23 on induction day, which is on or about July 1st. And you cannot have any familial obligations. You can't be married, you can't have children. And that's really, that's it as far as the statutory qualifications go, but there's a lot more to it, as you have heard. There is no substitute to visiting these academies. You need to get down there and feel it and smell it, and it just, you just get the ethos of it. It's amazing, having been there to the mall on several occasions. You can watch movies, you can watch videos, you can talk to people, but there is no substitute. Go down there. If you're interested in several academies, go to all of them. They have all of the, you can get on each academy website. They all have weekends with spend the weekend with somebody, spend a week or whatever it may be. But it's critical, really, to get a sense of what you're getting into. So what do we look for in our office? As you can imagine, you've heard it. We look at 3 areas, and you think of them sort of in overlapping circles, sort of a Venn diagram. We look for academic excellence. If you are not a good student, you will not survive. Simple as that. Secondly, we look for physical fitness, athletics. You don't have to be an All-American athlete, but you need to be an athlete. You need to get in shape and run and push-ups and pull-ups and dips and all those things that you need to do. And then the third thing is we look for leadership potential. That's a little bit more difficult to quantify. We look at captains of a team, maybe president of a club. We're not necessarily looking for somebody who's a member of 10 clubs. We would prefer somebody who's the president of 1 club and whose responsibility it is to make sure that that club works well. So again, leadership potential. Not everybody has the DNA, if you will, to be a leader. Some people function better when they are given orders. We're looking for people who are going to give those orders. When you graduate as second lieutenant here, you will have a rank and you will be expected to lead. That's what you're being trained to do. So we look at those 3 very, very closely. And as Jim had mentioned, when you think of the way the process works is each member of Congress and each senator is allowed to have 5 nominees at each academy at a given moment. So let's use West Point, for example. Right now, we have Congressman Lynch is nominated, and 5 of his nominees are students at West Point, 1 of whom will graduate in May. So we need to fill that 1 spot, okay? Every 4 years, we get 2 spots, because with 5, every so often you get 2 spots. So that person we are trying to find will graduate in May. The next person will take the oath on or about July 1st. Now, the way that works is we get several dozen applications. About 30 or so for West Point already. What happens is we send our 10 best candidates to West Point. So we have to eliminate 20, if you will. So we send our 10 candidates to West Point, and then the Academy will reserve the right to choose the person that they want. So we don't get the final say. It's up to the Academy. But we do have a lot of say, if you will, in who makes those final 10. So you need to do your very, very best. That pyramid gets pretty tight pretty quickly. As you heard, these are the finest institutions in the country. If you're really smart and 50 pounds overweight, you might go to Yale, but you're not going to any of the service academies. They're really hard to get into. The competition is fierce. And think of that, they take 1 out of 10. So we're talking about if you don't get in, 90% of the people don't get in. But don't let that discourage you. As Al mentioned, we have a fellow who went twice. There's several people who have gone twice and have graduated. We had one person graduate, already had a master's degree, was 2 years ahead of his class. And he did his last 2 years, he was in a graduate program. So when his 4 years at the Naval Academy was done, he had already had his master's degree. Those are not wasted years. What you need to do is, as you are organizing your applications, is find institutions that are excellent academically, that have an ROTC component. You want that military component. And you want to make sure you go to a college, if you don't get into the academy the first time, that offers a curriculum as closely related to the academy curriculum that you can find. So chemistry, physics, biology, whatever it may be that the academy is offering, you need to find a school that will offer those same courses. Take those courses, do very well, then you come back another year later, you've proven you can do college work, difficult college work. Presumably you will have continued your fitness and have sought out leadership opportunities. You're almost by definition a stronger candidate. So don't get discouraged if you don't get in the first time. It's a 1 year, maybe 2 year setback, but if you're planning on a career in the military, it's really nothing given the long-term benefits. You should also apply to several academies. The way we do it in our office is, for example, if you want to be a pilot, we have many applicants who apply to Navy and to Air Force. Now, you are not penalized, nor do you get a benefit from applying to academies. You will compete in the Air Force pool, if you will, and you will compete in the Navy pool. You might make the final 10 at the Air Force, you might not make the final 10 in the Navy. Vice versa, you might make the final 10 in both. And if you make the final 10 in both, Congressman Lynch will nominate you to both academies. So if that's something if you have a very specific wish, pilot, or you want to go in the Marine Corps, you'd go to the Naval Academy. But you want to make sure that you are maximizing your opportunities, not only with the nominating authorities, but with the offerings of each academy. Let's see. We will start, many of you I think have been talking to Joseph. We will interview every applicant we get. You'll be hearing from us probably in the next 10 days or 2 weeks. We'll organize those, and we will have interviews scheduled between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And the reason we do that is we have several candidates who didn't get in last year who are now at college, and they want to come back and take another attempt at getting in. So they are at college, so we use the month between Thanksgiving and Christmas to have the candidates and at least one parent in and explain what's going on, and we'll get an update on the progress of that candidate. But that's pretty much it. You've heard a lot here today. If there's any questions you have, you contact either Joseph or me, and we will do our very best to get you the latest information and to help you through this. It's complicated. You need to meet deadlines, whatever those deadlines are. We prefer to get hours early, but I would get it in by the end of November to our office if you have not already, and then we can evaluate it from there. Since this is being televised on BCAM, if you have questions, I will repeat the question so the people who are watching us on TV can hear it, and whoever is going to answer it, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the microphone and answering it, so it will be heard as well. So I'll just open this up to questions. Come on, be bold. Yes.
You said that some of the academies you have 2 spots for the years. Do you have any double spots this year?
No. The question is, do we have any academies to which there are 2 vacancies this year? No, we have 1 vacancy at each academy. So we'll be sending 10 names to each academy. Yes? Will the interviews be in person or via Zoom? They will be in person. Yeah, it's much more effective. This is so much better than last year. I mean, my God. You really get a sense of somebody when you sit across from them. And they'll take about an hour. And it's not a grilling. It's more of a conversation. Just make sure we're all on the same page.
Bob,
Yes.
can you differentiate between the interviews for your nomination
Right. Thank you. Al Barisi asked me to differentiate between the academy interview process and the congressional interview process. You need to do both. When you apply to the academies, they will reach out and arrange an interview with the local field force, which is not connected to the interview that we will conduct in our office. But you need to make sure that you're doing both on parallel tracks. You don't want to miss out on that. One thing I forgot to mention, I apologize, is Jim mentioned that you'll need to pass a medical exam. So once you're at the academies get about 40,000 initial applications. They end up with a class of about 1,200. So you can see the drop-off is pretty severe. And there's no possible way that DODMERB can arrange a medical exam for all those people. So what happens is once your application is 50% complete, DODMERB will reach out to you, Department of Defense Medical Examination Review Board. They will reach out to you and arrange for you to get a physical by a DODMERB-approved doctor. You need to get that done. If you don't pass the physical, depending upon what the disqualifying ailment may be, you will not be nominated or appointed, depends. And there, ADHD, eyesight, if you want to be a pilot, becomes an issue. Even tattoos sometimes now, they're becoming an issue. But we aren't medical people. We cannot overrule the medical people. If you might be the best candidate we've ever had in our lives, but if you have a psoriasis or something like that, you will not be admitted. That's just the way the law is written. So that's an important piece. Get that done quickly. Yes. Yes. There are three. The question is, are the leadership programs held all summer or specific weeks? There are 3 weeks of 1 week each, where you can apply to one of the 3. Now, thank you for that question. Speaking about the leadership seminars, if you apply to that and do not get accepted to the leadership seminar, that does not mean you will not get into the academy. Conversely, if you do get into this leadership seminar, it does not mean that you will get into the academy. In fact, there are far more applications and far fewer spots for the leadership academies in the summertime than there are at the regular cycle. In fact, we have an interesting story. Years ago, we had a nominee from the Naval Academy who we thought was a shoo-in, who was accepted at the summer leadership seminar and was not ultimately selected by the academy. So I called up and I said, geez, what did we miss? And it turned out that candidate performed really badly in the summer seminar. Was not a team player, was a little bit lazy, was not particularly a strong leader. So her performance there kept her out of the academy. So if you are able to go there, as Jim said, there was a great opportunity there for you to show them what you got. Anything less than that will be a negative report that will go into your folder, and that will be considered with your application to the academy itself. So if you go there, you need to perform as positively as you can. Yes? I'm sorry, sir? The ways that you can prepare? Right. Well, again, anybody else is free to take a crack at this, but my own sense is, the question is, given the difficulty of the academy experience, the academic expectations, athletic expectations, the leadership expectations, what can I do to prepare for that? And my own sense is, you want to challenge yourself now. Take the hardest courses you can take in school. Perform athletically at the highest level that you can, whether it's, freshman, JV, varsity, whatever it may be. Challenge yourself. They want to see people who are willing to assume challenges and not just be followers. You need to work out because you want to be fit, not because someone tells you to do that. These are really, especially the first, as Cadet Wrinkle Garcia was saying, the first year or so was really difficult. Do you want to take a crack? Yeah.
To answer your question, I think it's different for everyone. You know, everyone deals with stress in different ways, but I think all the common ground is that you kind of lean on the people around you, and like you might be a straight A student now, and you can show up to any of the academies and start getting, you know, you'll get your first, like, you know, you fail your first test, and maybe you'll get yelled at for something stupid. But if you lean on the people around you, there's people in the grades above you that have gone through the same thing that you're going through. Oh yeah, I failed my first math test too. You know, it's like, in high school I never got a single B, and now I have like a B in calculus. And, there's stressful situations like that, but when you get there, you realize that everyone has gone through the same thing, and everyone can help you through it. And all the academies have a lot of resources to help you deal with that too. And if you get to a point where you're feeling like helpless and like, truly lost, like there's always someone there, always a program that can help. And I think, Mr. Folks is right. Like, you challenge yourself now, stuff isn't going to be as much of a challenge later, but you're still, no matter how well you're doing in high school, there's going to be something at the academy that's challenging, whether it's, you're not making friends, you feel like your grades are not as high as you want to, you're struggling physically. There's always something for somebody. You can be the perfect person in high school, and there's something that's going to come up, and that's kind of how they're designed, because by hurdling those obstacles, you're becoming a better person and a better leader. So I think the number one thing is everyone just relies on the people around them.
Thank you. Sure.
That is completely correct. Knowing that you're going to have a squadron or a battalion, we all have different names for it, but there are so many different strengths within each of your squadrons, and so you relying on your teammates. Something else that helped me graduate, and I did pretty well while I was at the academy, time management is the biggest thing, because every person, like I said, the Air Force Academy is split up into 3 tenets, right? Military, academics, and physical requirements. Everyone wants your time, and you only have 24 hours in a day, right? The quickest way to get kicked out of a service academy is academics, and academics are hard. And a lot of people, they do really well in high school, and they expect to just do really well at the service academies. It's very different. So focusing on your academics and giving them the time that they deserve, right, so that you can do well in school is really important. But then also factoring in that you need to work out, and you don't need to, right, but I highly recommend finding an extracurricular activity, something that you enjoy, something that's going to get you excited and keep you motivated, and being really strict on yourself with a schedule, allowing yourself to have fun. But time management is the key to success, in my experience, to getting through a service academy and enjoying yourself, because I had a great time. So.
So as far as what you can do to prepare before you get to the school, before you get there, so I would go on the website for each of the schools and see what classes, they're recommending. A lot, like on the Kings Point website, they'll tell you what classes they want you to take. Heavy science, and stuff like that, calculus in high school and so forth. Join a club, become the president of the club, or try to get us to aspire to that. Do something to stand out. Service, I think, is another thing that would be important. The class profiles, it's pretty good to look at that, because you'll see, and I know at Kings Point we had a lot of Eagle Scouts at Kings Point. We had a lot of paper boys back in the day. The class profile will give you some insight as to, what they're accepting and what type of student is getting there. And you can sort of look and see what things am I doing, and what direction can I go in my high school time to sort of guide myself, to become a better candidate for the school. But I would say taking the right classes. I'll give you an example, is that, and I was a good student in high school, and I took drafting. Because I think for engineering, they wanted you to have drafting experience, and of course, as a techie, I didn't use it at all, but it showed up on my academic record that I took drafting, and it's something that the Academy looks for. So stay out of trouble, too. That would be a good thing.
I don't want to belabor the point, and what they've all said is absolutely true, but I think one thing you need to keep in mind, too, is that if you try to run for a leadership position, or you're in a sport and you were hoping to be captain of the team, one of the things that they look for is how you respond to adversity. So if you run for class president or you run for a club president and you don't get it, don't sulk. Take a leadership role. Do what you can do unofficially. When we do the interviews, and I'm lucky because here in Braintree we also award a leadership award, the Thayer Leadership Award, so we get to talk to high school juniors that have been nominated by the school. And it's more impressive for us to hear, well, I didn't get class president, but I still wanted to serve, so I did this in an unofficial capacity. That talks about the leadership potential. You're not always going to be the best. Put your ego aside. That's the one piece of advice I'll give you, is put your ego aside, because if you look at the class makeup, if you go in thinking, hey, I'm valedictorian, I'm captain of the football team, all that in a bag of chips, well, look around. So is everybody else in your class. You're nothing special. And when I don't say you're nothing special, you are very special. But you're no different than anybody else in the class. So how you respond to adversity and how you deal with that is going to tell a lot about your character.
And just a couple of thoughts I had as well on that. I think the single most distinguishing aspect of the academies is they have an honor code that civilian colleges don't necessarily have. And the honor code is typically run by the upperclassmen with academic oversight by the administration. And basically it says, and I paraphrase them all, a cadet or midshipman will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. So if you get caught cheating on a test, and if you have a roommate, if you walk in and you see your roommate cheating on a test, he or she has just put you in a terrible position, haven't they? Because now they're cheating and you know about it. What do? You have an obligation to turn them in. If they're going to take the easy way out on a math test, what are they going to do out in the field? Can they be trusted? Can you be trusted if you allow that to happen? And you see at the academies, every so often, there's a dismissal of people for a violation of the honor code. And they take that very, very seriously. The second thing is, it's been touched on a few times, you're applying to a service academy. You cannot get on the service academy, we talked about induction day, until about July 1st or so. You need to take the oath of allegiance, that you will serve and protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. You essentially are going into the military. That's what you're doing. Your first 4 years will be at school. But in that, because of that commitment by you, you are a service academy, a service to others. If you want to go see your brother play the Thanksgiving Day football game, you're probably not going to be able to do that. You want to go to the senior prom with your girlfriend who's a year younger than you, you're probably not going to be able to do that. You want your brother to come up for the weekend for the, Air Force Army football game? That may not be able to happen depending upon your duty. Your duty comes first. All of that other stuff, goes by the side. You are looking at a service academy where you're putting yourself aside to the service of others. It's a huge commitment. It really is. And I'm thankful for you for considering this. It takes a certain temperament to be successful here. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much to all of you guys for coming. They will be available for questions specific to their academy. There are agendas, and Joseph and my cards are back there. Please take one. And please call us between now and January 30th when the nominations are due. It pretty much takes up our full time. So don't worry about contacting us too often. Contact us as often as you need, and we will do our best to get you answers. And thank you so much.